Hello, this is Denise Miller for Visual Faith Ministry. In this video, I wanted to go through and show you what comes in our Bible journaling by verse packets. These are our themed Bible journaling packets, and they're a little bit different than our monthly packets. The themed one is on a specific verse or verses, and in the packet comes a devotional, and many of these devotionals also have questions at the end to ask. And so this one was written by Jenny Long, one of our devotional writers. So you get a devotional, you get some questions, and then you get a how-to page that explains a little bit, if you've never done Bible journaling before, how you can lay it out, and then the finished page. And then these packets come with 3 to 5 pages of ephemera. And they have to do with the verse. There's word art, and there's then just pretty little things to go along with it as well. So if you have a women's ministry, these are fabulous because you just download them and you're ready to go. Some of them do have a price, like this one I believe was like $5. You can print it as many times as you want. So if you have a group of 100 women, print it 100 times if you want. If you use it once and then a year later teach another class, reprint it, no problem whatsoever. It is yours once you get the digital download. So I printed these last 3 pages on label paper. It's full page label paper, so it turns these into stickers. You don't have to do that. It just makes the sticking part a little easier. I could have used glue or a glue stick as well. So let's look what we have. This verse, turn to the next page, is Psalm 90, and this is 12 through 14. It says, "So teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days." So there's my steadfast word for the year. So I'm probably going to put that somewhere on my page. And it's interesting because he starts with asking a question, and I haven't looked up to see who wrote this, if it was King David or someone else. But he starts out with asking a question and then goes into a lament. Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity. And then he ends with, satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. So looking at all the different fun stuff. I mean, one of the big things, I have my, this Bible, this is just the Psalms, and it is by Crossway, and they have each book of the Bible, and each is separate, so you have words on the left, blank on the right, and love this one as well, to have a whole page to work with. So I could choose just this large piece right here, put it in the middle, grab a couple of these pieces and put it underneath. But I'm looking, I really want the steadfast part, since that is my Logos 365 for the year. But then I could do something where I just cut out the satisfy us, steadfast love, and put that on this side. Decisions. Well, while I'm thinking about it, I can decide whether or not to cut out with scissors or rip. It gives a few different kind of looks. I usually like more of the ripped edge. I like more mixed media look, grungy look. So I'm going to rip some of these out while I'm thinking of what I want to do. And then once you rip some out and just start laying it out, sometimes you'll kind of get an idea of how it's going to look. With its sticker on the back, you just never know quite, like when I'm ripping, a little of the sticky is coming off, so I'm making sure it doesn't stick down and then I can't pick it up again to move it around. You do have quite a bit of color here. And because I have a whole page and not a margin, the margin has a lot less space. So really, that would have been enough for a margin. In the directions, it shows a margin made from that ephemera. But I have a whole page. So I could just go with this in the morning part, the moon or the sun coming up, though I do like this as well. Almost want this on top of those rays, so let me rip out the rays. Now in this Bible, journaling Bible from Crossway, the pages are not white, they're cream. So you do see a little bit of the white, more so than if the pages were white themselves. It would blend a little bit better. I do need to make sure it fits on the page. Let me rip off a little bit more here and here. So if I go with sun rays, I think that's going to be too big. Maybe I'll go with the smaller one in the middle. And instead of ripping that out, I'm going to cut this one out, just so I can get the smooth around the sun. And there's so much in this verse, between the numbering of the days, getting wisdom, the steadfast love. You don't always have to go and try to cover all of the verses in it. You can just pick and choose which verses you want to accentuate, or you can make a little box around all of it. Let's see what color I am missing out of that. Trying to decide, because there's so much yellow here, I don't know if I want to put yellow in the background. I do have this blue here I'm going to rip out. I have two yellow. I have a square and I have another kind of long rectangle of yellow, but not enough for necessarily rays coming up. I could cut it into threes and kind of from the back do 3 little rays. I do like over here it says steadfast love. So I am going to cut this out as well. And I'm going to do that on the other page. So my thought, which as you start playing around and moving things around, my thought is to put it here right next to my verses are 12, 13, and 14. But I might later move it. So let's chuck it on that page as a possibility. There is a heart with the word wisdom in it. Let's cut that out. And then I think for the number, your days, I think I like the clock better than the calendar. Back to ripping. I like this heart. So maybe I do something with a heart behind the heart. Let's finish cutting that out. Okay, heart and a heart. I also have a blue heart. Maybe I should do the blue heart also. Just because that's kind of sky-y. Maybe adding a little bit more blue up there. Once again, ripping out. Now, when you have a small group, if you have the time, allow the women to cut out their own things. Just have a multitude of pages there and they can pick and choose. But if your time is short, do all this beforehand for them. Have everything in little baggies to where they can just grab out what they would like. And then that way it helps it move along much quicker. You can read the devotional. And if you have a lot of time, you can do a lot of research yourself prior to your meeting and add to the devotional. If not, if 5 minutes before group, all of a sudden you get a phone call saying, can you run it? You just quickly download the devotional and just read it as is and go from there. The ladies would not be upset with that, I'm sure. So I am deciding whether or not to bring in some of these other colors. I might take them away. It is kind of fun. So let me get my clock out. I have 3 different sizes. I don't know if that large one's too big. I think I'm going to go with the medium one. So the discussion questions are great too. While you're sitting around and everyone's cutting out their ephemera, just ask one of the questions. Try to get some discussion going. Whether or not you have one table or multiple tables. They can each do it at an individual table or you can all do it as a group. But we tried to add as much in. I'm trying to see how to clock. There it is. This is pretty funny. I'm looking at it and it has almost like 2 1s. 1 and a 1 instead of the 12. I wonder if anyone noticed that when they did this kit. I just did. I'm like, that clock is not correct. Okay, so now I have some words. Let me decide. What I might do is start kind of getting some of this onto the page and then come back with the wording. The black is kind of bold. I have black here, and if you think about thirds, I wouldn't want something else black down here, so maybe I would grab one of these. So let me just kind of push things over. I know this is taking up a lot down here, so I might pull up these a little bit higher. And all I do is squish down a corner, pull on it, and then start putting these down. Now there's 2 that look like markers, and so I would want to separate those a little bit since the other ones do look different. Some of the little pieces you don't have to put half down, you can just rip all the back off. So as I'm going across, I'm sitting there thinking as well, do I put this down? And I think I want to keep that light blue over here, so let me do another. And I can, because of that red being there, I can put that up higher. Okay, let me do that. So there is no right or wrong. There's not anything that you can sit there and say, well, I'm not an artist. I don't know how to glue paper down, because everything is subjective anyway. This is your time that you're spending. Usually I would be, you know, obviously when I'm not teaching online, I would be contemplating what these verses said. I usually do a little research. I love verse mapping, so I would do some research to find out who wrote this psalm. Sometimes I'll read the cross references and things like that. Trying to decide. I have this yellow, so I think I'm going to grab this yellow. I do have this one last black blob as well if I end up needing some black on the other side. But when you're making a video, you're not concentrating necessarily on the verse. So right now it does look like I'm mainly doing the artsy part, and it is true because the video's on. But when the video is off, I would be thinking something different. So I think I want to put this one back here, and I might put it all the way up. Yeah. There you go. Let me move this. There we go. I'm going to put this yellow one on. When I ripped it, I left a little bit of white on it. So I'm going to put that at the bottom so that's behind. So I have what's left. I have this red. And then I'll get my rays and my sun on. Let's see with this here. Yep, that's perfect. The sticker paper really makes things so easy. Speeds things up for you so it's not a 30-minute video of me gluing things down. There you go. Put the rays behind the sun. Looks fun. And now the decision on this. Red here, so I think I'm going to do the red. Maybe something like that. Yep, that looks good. Now the last thing, after I get these stuck down, that I will be adding is some of the words. And then I will pick coordinating colored pencils. And I will go over, and I think because this is from 14 to, or 12 to 14, I think I am going to probably do a square around the whole thing. Trying to decide where I want that. Okay, so let's look at the wording. Definitely going to do steadfast love. So these scissors I have shown many, many times in videos. They look like ripped paper, and I love them and use them almost daily. They're old. They're from Stampin' Up. Now I don't have any of my ink over here, so instead of, normally I would ink the edges, what I'm going to do is just figure out what color, if I'm going to do the steadfast love over here, the clock there, that's the clocks over here, or underneath. Could cover the mistake of the number with a no 12. Kind of takes away some of that red. do it. Okay, so coloring wise, I can either rip some of this black and put a little bit underneath it and add a color. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I was in the process of thinking about it, and then I just realized, yep, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do it. Grab a little blob, and that's the 1, 2, 3 of the black. Plop that down here. Because sky is kind of blue, I'm going to grab blue out. Oops, put it upside down. And all I'm going to do is rub the edges. So it's similar to if you were inking it with an ink pad. You're just adding color. These colored pencils are very, very soft, so they add their color much easier than if it was hard pencils. Okay, liking that. Trying to decide how far up to take it. Actually like it lower. Here we go. Let's get the clock on. And if I end up adding anything after I turn the camera off, I'll either write it in the description or you'd be able to see. I also have markers that are great for shadows, but they're across my room. So I'm just going to grab a gray pencil and go along the edge. And all it does is pushes the background back and it just pops out a little bit more. You can do down a specific side if you're trying to do the sun rays lighting, or you can do around all 4 sides. And then that way the whole thing pops up. There we go. And I am going to put this steadfast love. I could do it over here. Let's look around. No, I think I'm going to put it over here. Could put it up here with an arrow. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's kind of close to that heart, but yep, putting it up top with an arrow. So now decisions are, which color am I going to pull out for my coloring? Now, if you pick up a lot of the dark, it does cover up a lot. So I'm just going to go with yellow. Then I am going to take a pen, and then I am just making a box. And then I always go twice around it. And then I'm going to do a little arrow like that. And if I want, I can come back with this color and go along the edges, just to bring a little bit more color over here. I mean, I can go over that arrow as well with a red. So you're really bringing a lot of the color in from next door. You could go around that with some color. If I was going to do red, 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 and red, so maybe I'll go around here real fast with some red. And that pretty much ends it. If you're doing a women's group, talk about your verses along the way. You can go as far as you want, as in, I'm going to fill in the box. You can go as far as you want, you know, looking up Hebrew and all of that, or as little as you want, and that's just reading the devotional and diving right into your page. And this is what I call always usually a reflection page. If I had done what I normally do, spend time in it, and then I usually end in a prayer asking God to help me whatever this is, learn wisdom, right? And thanking him for his steadfast love. So there you go. It's kind of quick. Zip through it, but a page is done. If you're with a group, you know, doing it by yourself is fine. But I know a lot of people are always looking for things to do for their women's group. So I wanted you to see what was inside these kits. And then look at what so much is extra. So you can use that for other pages. A lot left over. So I hope that helps you see what our Bible journaling by verse, our themed packets are. And I will show you in another video sometime what our monthly packets are. Monthly packets are more expensive because you get a ton more pages of ephemera, but you're also going over at least 5 different verses, not just the one. And there is a devotional in that kit as well. But these are what we call Bible journaling by verse, so BJBV, Bible journaling by verse, and these are our theme. And in our shop, on the left-hand side, you'll see Bible journaling kits, and if you click on that, you will see all of them. I hope you have a fabulous day.